Hello and welcome back to the series of sessions on Salesforce. In this session we will be discussing today on Apex data loader. There are multiple ways of importing data into the Salesforce application. It can be through importing of files for smaller sets of data, but for data more than 50,000 records we use data loader, which internally will call an API for importing the data. So this is data loader is a client application which is used for bulk import or bulk export of data, and you can do multiple operations like insert, update, delete and export of the Salesforce records. It operates in two modes. One is the user interface mode and the command line mode. In today's session we will be seeing the user interface mode of operating the data loader. So in the application we can go to data management and the data loader. Click on data loader. You will be shown the data loader setup page where you can download the data loader for Windows or data loader for Mac separately. So when we click on data loader for Windows, an exe file of the client application will be downloaded and you can install the client application. So the first thing, when you click on the executable to install the data loader setup, you will be shown the conditions or the agreement screen where you need to click on I agree for agreeing the terms and conditions of the using the software or the client application. The next step, it will start installing, and the completed process. After completion of the process, you will be shown the complete status message on your local machine. So when you click on the shortcut which has been created on your desktop for the data loader, you will be shown the screen, the first screen, where you will be shown all the buttons. Here insert means to use the button which is used for importing the data records. So you have to provide a file for doing the import in a external file, and which contains the IDs for inserting into the Salesforce application. Similarly, you have update, which contains the ID of the records that needs to be updated inside Salesforce application. The ID should be matching to the records in the Salesforce application that will get updated. The third one is upsert, which is used for a combination of both insert and update. The records that are not available in the external file will be inserted into Salesforce application, and which is existing in the Salesforce application, the matching IDs will get updated. The fourth one is the delete, which removes the records in the Salesforce application that matches with the file record IDs. And export and export all. Export will export the data that is only there on the active records that are there. Export all will also export the other records which are for example in the recycle bin, and which are soft deleted along with the active records. So once the export is done, before you start actually the process of importing or exporting, you will be shown the dialog box for accessing the application from an external client application like the data loader. You need to provide the login credentials in order to log in into the tool with your username and password of the Salesforce, and if any authentication details are required, and then the URL has to be provided, and click on login. So when you click on login and you choose an action, you have to select the Salesforce object for which you need to do an export or import, So you have to choose the target place where you need to extract the data or export the data from Salesforce if it is the case of export, and the file that will be supported is the CSV file, which is either for the import or export. It's the CSV file that is supported in the data loader. And once you select the object that needs to be exported, you can also restrict the number of records that you want to export using the query, and you can extract the subset of records that you can export using the query mode or the circle query filters that can be applied on the records. So one thing you need to remember, for some of the things that you need to remember about the data loaders, or data loader recognize only one address fields. So if you have there are multiple address fields, you need to combine them into one address field in your import file. For example, this is for the import file. So and if the data loader matches based on the record IDs only, so in those cases, if it will not validate whether the record is already existing in the names, it will not validate the names or the email addresses, for example, if they are duplicates. So it will only validate against record IDs. And the third thing that you need to remember is the workflows will fire some records that match the rule criteria. Before importing, you need to make sure that you switch off the workflow rules, and you don't want them to execute while importing. So these are the things that you need to remember about the data loader. So we saw how the data loader can be downloaded, installed, and what are the different operations that we can perform using the data loader, and how we can log in into the application using your credentials and the client application, and then the mapping of the how we can restrict or filter the records that are there in the Salesforce application for export, and then what are the points to remember about the data loader. Hope this session was informative on the data loader. So we will meet again to discuss further topics on the Salesforce. Thanks for joining.